All right, here we go. Podcast number 3. Chris Witt, Adam Schmidt, and the illustrious Joe Schmidt. Starting and stopping the computer.
That's all he's doing.
He's got the start stop down. Start time 6:14 Sunday. Put the note up. I'm going to read it, man. I'm like Ron Burgundy. Whatever you type on that screen will be read.
Oh, have fun with that, please.
So what a week in sports, huh?
Yeah. Yep.
I mean, obviously, the biggest thing right now is college basketball's FBI probe, which came out with quite a few more lists of coaches, teams, players affecting just about everybody in the top 25.
Yeah, absolutely. So you just want to get started on it right away, or you want to introduce what it was, or do you want me to do that?
That's what I was trying to hand it off to you.
Oh, thank you. Good handoff. I fumbled it though.
It's all right, you picked it up. Run with it.
So Andy Miller, former NBA agent, owner of ASM Sports Agency, is the one really being indicted here. But a lot of teams, like you said, a lot of teams, a lot of coaches, a lot of players are the ones that really have the problem. So the FBI has been doing an investigation for 2 years, and they've found and just came out this week with the information that more than 4,000 conversations through FBI wiretaps, financial records, emails, texts found in Andy Miller's office are, I guess, indicting more than 20 programs and coaches, players in the NCAA.
And the big one right now is Arizona.
That's
without a doubt. They've already had an assistant coach arrested,
Mm-hmm.
which is close to my heart because both Sean Miller and this assistant coach at one point in time also coached Xavier, who
I didn't realize that assistant coach was at Xavier.
Yeah, the assistant coach was there for 1 or 2 years under Sean Miller before he left.
How about that? So the only real they do have some amounts of loans that they believe have been handed
They found
out.
spreadsheets that had payments on it. I mean, it's
Right.
all these guys are. I mean, they're basically caught red-handed. Now, Sean Miller didn't coach yesterday.
Correct.
However, there's not been any of the players that are listed. None of the players have been taken off the court yet, which that surprises me because as soon as this comes out, I mean, this is FBI stuff. I mean, it's basically telling you exactly what they did. If there's an allegation, usually the NCAA would not let you on the court, but now they're letting these guys play. They had to go through an appeal process, from what I understand.
Yeah, well, a lot of them have already been cleared, at least by the schools. I wonder how that happens. Yeah, but at least the schools are quickly investigating whether or not it makes sense to pull these guys off the floor or not. But so nobody's missing time as far as like you said, Sean Miller is the only person, coach or player in this that is not active right now because of this, and that was specifically because he was heard on a wiretap.
Yeah. Talking about $100,000 going to a recruit who's currently in his starting lineup.
Yeah, and who might be the number 1 pick in the draft this year because he's leading the DeAndre Ayton is leading the Pac-12 in scoring and rebounding. So they're talking about him possibly being a number 1 draft pick or a lottery pick certainly. I'm not sure that's going to matter. So really, anything that comes from this is not going to matter to him because if he gets kicked out of school, he's just going to be in the draft in June anyway.
Well, none of these players, not all of them, because not all of them are going to go straight to the NBA. I mean,
right.
It's not obviously going to be all of them, but most of these guys, they don't. It's just like Edmund Sumner for Xavier. Took a piddly $7,000. You think he gives 3? Well, there was a guy they interviewed yesterday, and he said, "Does it look like I need a loan? I ain't got nothing to say to you guys." He's in the NBA. Well, of course you don't need a loan now.
Right.
But 2 years ago, yeah, $15,000 probably looked pretty daggone good to you.
Yeah. The largest amount that I saw was Dennis Smith Jr., who was in the dunk contest, super rookie for the Dallas Mavericks. took a $73,500 loan before he started at NC State.
Right.
But that's why they're linked to. So the agent Andy Miller and the people working for him were responsible for these allegations, but they're going to be linked to their schools no matter what, and that's where
that's where this comes in, because they're talking. I mean, Coach Calipari's already come out. I mean, he's got 4 guys on this list, and he's already come. One of them currently playing on his team, and he's already come out saying these guys have never been anywhere. We have no ties with these guys. We don't know anything with them. None of their known associates are with them. But I mean, I was Coach Cal's. I was on his side from the time Kentucky signed him. I said that he doesn't need, they already came out the 30 for 30, and they made him out, and they showed that he maybe wasn't the one who got everybody in trouble for all the things that his schools got in trouble for, which he eventually left. And I know there's a lot of people that hate Coach Cal for all that. Sure. However, I after watching that, and he's at Kentucky, he doesn't need to do that anymore. He's got that Kentucky brand, and now he's got these billions of dollars that he walks in and shows what his players have made in the NBA when he's recruiting people. He doesn't need to do all this stuff anymore. He says, look, come hang out with me for a year, maybe 2. This year they probably got mostly guys that'll be here for another year. But it's, I mean, I didn't think he needed to, and they came out, him, Mac, a lot of these other guys have come out right away and said, listen, we got no ties. Do you believe them?
I think you have to believe them and that's the thing about this is we're in the first 0.5% of what we know about this. I think there's it might take another year to find out everything about this. In the next few weeks, I'm sure it's still going to be a really hot topic, but we'll find out more. Nothing's going to happen this year, I don't think, this basketball season, at least with it, except for Sean Miller, I guess. If there's specific evidence, if that specific evidence is there, and he loses his job immediately for it, then yeah, he's going to be out. But I don't see any other programs or any other, if anything comes out about any coaches that are, that are going to cost them their job at some point, it'll probably happen right away, because these schools are going to want to get their reputation cleaned up as quickly as possible, even though it's going to take a long time.
Was this story leaked, or was it something this just part of what they have let out? Because I just don't understand how does this little bit of stuff come out and it not be done with the entire investigation?
I'm not sure if it's been leaked, but I think no matter what, it was going to come out, because it is an FBI investigation, and they're gonna show their findings. But what I'm most interested in, and there are several guys that are in the NBA now that are on that list. Like you said, some guys that are still in school. And several schools, and especially the top ones: Michigan State, North Carolina, Duke, Kansas. Arizona.
I mean, it's the cream of the crop are all the ones that are involved in this.
Yes, but the one I'm most interested in hearing your perspective on is Xavier's. So Edmond Sumner.
Sumner, $7,000 listed. It's either to him or his father is what it looks like. Mac came out right off the bat. He has no known ties to him, and Xavier, one of the reasons why one of the things that has kept me a Xavier fan for so long is the fact that it always seemed like they did everything right. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? They recruited good guys. I mean, now the bigger they get, I had a conversation the other day, and it was, man, how cool is it that Xavier's gotten so good that they could be involved in something like this? That would never happen to me when I was a kid. So part of me is like, man, it's kind of a cool thing. And the other thing is like, well, hold on a second. This could be really scary. But Mac has come out and he said, we got no ties. Same thing Calipari said. Mac was one of the first coaches to come out and say it.
I think he was the very first one, I think.
Yeah, from what I heard. And I have a little bias on my side. So yeah, I'm gonna say yes. I don't think Xavier had anything to do with this. I think that this whole money that went to Edmond, which was a very low dollar amount compared to what some of these guys are, but it doesn't matter how high or low. You took $100,000 or you took $5,000, you're gonna get the same the same penalty from the NCAA. The problem is, who does the NCAA punish for something like this? If it's something Xavier had no knowledge of, and they can't find anywhere that they had knowledge of it, does Xavier still get in trouble for those 2 years Edmund Sumner played?
Yes, they do, and that's the thing, and that's what's not fair about it is because they're talking about, and they just did it to Louisville.
Took away our national championship for
Right.
running a brothel. You think? I mean, they're going to have how many national championships will be taken away because of this?
And just wins because that's the NCAA does that as well. Any game that Edmund Sumner played in, which he missed a lot of time because he was hurt, but any game that he played in,
Well, then that gives
they
it.
might have to forfeit.
So we
all
still
of
got
those
our
games.
Elite Eight. Then we still made it to. We still get to keep our Elite Eight banner then, right? Because he didn't play in the NCAA tournament. I don't take any daggone banners down. All right, we don't have a lot, so
But
I
that's the
need
thing.
everyone we got.
That's what's happening though, and they're going to vacate banners. They're going to vacate conference championships and
Jeez,
games and stuff like that. And that's how the NCAA punishes teams in these situations. But what is that? I mean, I don't understand that. That doesn't make any sense to me. Like those games were still played. They were still won. Okay, you played with an ineligible player because he took money though, not because he
Was on
cheated
PEDs or
Yeah,
on something like that.
And that's, but some schools get better recruits because they pay, because they offer more money, and that's where this kind of stuff comes in. So in that case, yeah, maybe
To me, that's where the distinguishing line is. Were these guys paid like Sean Miller's is on a recording? Were these guys paid to come, to try to get them to go to a school, or were they not traded? Were they paid by this company because they want to represent them in the NBA in a year? I think that's a huge thing, because if it's something like that, like an Edmund Sumner, got paid because he's looked at to be a 1 year, 2 year type guy in NCAA, and he's going to go to the pros, and they want him as a client. Is that gonna be looked at the same in this FBI investigation by the NCAA as in like in Arizona, where they're talking about, give this kid $100,000, let's get him at Arizona, and then I'll push him your way.
Right. Yeah. Well, yeah. Either way, though, if Edmund Sumner took money before he ever got to Xavier and then didn't take any money while he was at Xavier, that still makes him ineligible to play in the NCAA. So that's why it's a problem for Xavier. They may have had nothing to do with it, but number one, their compliance department is in huge trouble, which if their compliance department is in huge trouble, their basketball program and their whole university is in big trouble.
Because their basketball program is their university. I mean, that is their university.
And their compliance program should be, that's their biggest task is keeping the basketball program under compliance, probably more than anybody, because that's where they make their money, right? So it does, whether they had knowledge of it or not, if he received money, he's ineligible.
Okay, so here's the deal, though, because you look at somebody. What if somebody pays the money back? What if this money is there? Because isn't there something where if you pay the money back, the fines become less or some shit like that? Something like that.
I don't
I
know.
dropped the S-bomb. Sorry, Mom.
I don't know. But I think no matter what, if you take a loan, whether you pay
You're
it back
just
or
busted.
not,
You're done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because you can't receive any. That's still a benefit. You can't receive any benefits.
But will the doesn't the NCAA look a little easier on you if you have? I thought that was something that I had read somewhere like that.
Maybe,
I can't find it anywhere in here, but.
And maybe the consequences aren't as bad if that's the case. And for a person like Edmund Sumner and all these other guys that are in the NBA now, of course, if you took $7,000, you can pay that back after you get your first paycheck in the NBA. But it's still, I don't think
You can pay that back with your per diems you get for games in
right.
NCAA.
Right, yeah, your meal money on the road or something.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. You've seen what they get for per diems? It's like $100 a day when they're on the road.
That's right. Yeah, that's what I make working 10 hours a day at my regular job.
Hey, congratulations on that promotion, by the way.
Yeah, thanks. No, but no matter what, a lot of people are going to be in trouble, whether they had ties actually to Andy Miller or his organization or not. We know pretty much that Arizona did. because there's already evidence of that. But that's really the only real evidence that's been confirmed. And really, it hasn't even all the way been confirmed. I haven't heard.
They've got spreadsheets. They've got from wiretaps, but has there? I guess it's not really sure if there is if it's been confirmed that there's what do you call it? The actual statements or showing. I mean, I think they do have some. They show money leaving. I mean, it's all. This is all done wire transfer. It's not like this was cash in a bag, like in the old school days. You walk up to a recruit and you're like, "Hey, brother, good to see you," and you leave and you walk out and there's a lunch bag, brown paper bag with $5,000 sitting on a table.
That's the other thing, from what I understand, is there are records of those payments coming out of Andy Miller's, company, but there aren't necessarily. They haven't found evidence of the payments being actually received. From what I understood with Edmund Sumner that was the case. Like, they haven't proven that yet. Like, they can show those payments are coming out, but they haven't been able to find. Where
Well,
those
they're
payments are
gonna.
coming.
It's the FBI. They're gonna find wherever all this stuff went, and once they have it going out and they have a list of names on a spreadsheet, that's an easy. To me, that's an easy warrant, and then these people can go into all the bank accounts of everybody related to this guy and find where the money went. So
okay, so this also leads to what there probably need to be rule changes in the NCAA about regarding what's the word that I was just using before?
compensation?
No, eligibility.
Eligibility.
So what a lot of people this as this has come out this week, a lot of the conversation has been steered toward what about changing the rules about eligibility? What
rules are you talking about changing? Because I've heard a whole lot of stuff on this, and some of them are so whacked out and crazy.
Yeah. Well,
so
I think just the and it's been talked about several times, but maybe it's okay for them to receive benefits or to get paid somehow, or
okay,
it
so
opens up Pandora's box, but it's
the paid thing. I'm going to tell you right now. There's not. I hear it all the time. Nobody has put anything on paper that has made any sense and can even prove it. They just say yes, they should be paid. Yes, they should be paid. These universities make millions of dollars. Blah blah blah. They should be paid. Okay, that's fine. Tell me how. Show me how you're going to disperse the money.
Right.
Take one school and just show me how they would disperse it.
Right.
And nobody can do it. Nobody has done it. So I don't want to hear about players getting paid. They already make a per diem when they're on the road. They get all their meals. And I know that's not a lot. And I know they're making their school a ton of money. And I know they're not even probably going to classes. I mean, look at North Carolina. They get a slap on the wrist for having a class that it's not even a class. You just sign up for it and get an A. Now, I do understand that they offered it to the entire school. And that's the only reason that they got away with it.
I should have gone to North Carolina.
Tell me about it. I would have never flunked out of UC. I flunked out of UC because I really don't like UC. I felt so bad saying that I went there. Xavier wouldn't have me, so I applied for Xavier, and I actually got a letter back when I sent the transcripts over. The letter back just said, "Ha, there's no chance." That was it.
I'm guessing that's not true, but. So last thing, just on the allowing players to be paid. So the problem is you can't have a basketball player who is the best player on that team, maybe in that conference, maybe in the country, that makes all this money for the school. You can't figure out how to pay him and make it fair to the rest of the players on that team, the women's team, the football team,
the
baseball
lacrosse team, the water polo, the ice dancing.
Because if they get paid, you're going to have to figure something out for everybody else, right? And that's
okay. So to me, all right. So real quick, just to take this to the next step, because like I said, nobody's ever put it on paper on how to do this. So to me, how do you figure it out? Do you say, okay, baseball team brings in this much money, so we spread this much money out between the players? Mm-hmm. I don't know. Baseball team wouldn't make any money. Basketball team brings in this much money. The football teams for most of these schools have over 100 kids on their team. What's the percentage that you would take? I mean, it's a difficult difficult thing to figure out.
Sure.
Way better mathematicians than me.
So what about this? Instead of trying to pay all of the players and trying to make it equal and fair for everybody, what about not paying anybody but allowing guys, and it's just going to be the top tier guys on these teams that are making this money, allow them to receive benefits from outside, from agents or car dealerships or whoever. What if they're allowed to do that?
That's
and not
the
lose
difference.
eligibility?
Here's the difference. Here's what I don't know that I like the fact that they can't just somebody can't just bribe you, because these are kids, man. I mean, they're going to take any dime that comes their way. Some of these kids are coming from nothing. Some of them are coming from a lot of money. You give somebody a little bit of cash, and yeah, they're going to do what. I mean, you're talking about a kid. So this is what I would do. If you want to, there's a couple ways to go about it. To me, it's working. Okay, if this dude's going to work, and by working, you have your own brand, even in college. So if you're using your name, if a car dealership wants to put you in a commercial and say, hey, what's your school of choice? Duke. Hey, Duke star Adam Schmidt, is going to buy his first car here when he can afford it or whatever, then yeah. And they're going to make money off of that advertisement, and they are able to pay you. Okay, that's one way to do it. I got no problem with that. I think you should be allowed to do that. I think it's crazy that you can't, as a college amateur player, you can't make money off your name. That doesn't make any sense to me.
Right.
You should be able to make money off your name. I don't think you should just be handed something. I think, which is basically what you're doing in that case, but at least you're taking time and doing something. Mm-hmm. I think that, yeah, or like the Johnny Manziel thing where they're talking about Johnny Manziel making money off signatures, off signing autographs, and he got suspended for a half, which was ridiculous. But and then you go to Texas A&M's website and you click on a jersey number that's got his number, and down at the bottom it says Johnny Manziel. Okay, so the school can make money off his name, but he can't. That's
right.
bull. So now they don't do that anymore. But I think then you put names on the back of jerseys that you sell, and while the kid's in school, if the number 5 jersey for Xavier sells, then Trayvon Blewett should get a portion of that. Mm-hmm. I got no problem with that. I think that's a way to pay players.
Yeah, that was the basis of Ed O'Bannon years ago. His
lawsuit,
yes, was using their likeness, and that's really all I mean. Although, there are going to be other options like where, like this thing where agents step in and they're like, okay, this guy's going to be in the NBA in a year or two or a couple months or whatever. I want to get to him right away, and, I want to throw a little money his way to make him interested in my agency. Is that okay too? Shouldn't they be allowed to?
No, I don't think. I think that's where the line needs to be drawn. I truly believe that's where the line should be drawn, because if you're going to have these rules, and you know what, I'm all about kids making money. Make money, go out and make money. If you can that's why these kids are taking the money. Make money if you can make money. But I think that it should be something you can make money, because then all of a sudden, I mean, these guys are they're sharks, man. They see blood in the water, they're going after it. Mm-hmm. So you got to try to protect the players somehow. Mm-hmm. So allow them to make money on their name, on their likeness. But just free money from these guys, I think that you're getting into a can of worms where you get into, it can get bad. It can get bad, and it can go downhill quick.
So that's their personal problem though to deal with if that happens. But should they lose eligibility though if they're involved in something like that?
If that's the rule, then they should lose eligibility.
Do you think that should be the rule?
No.
Okay. All right.
No, I don't think it should be the rule. I mean, but it is the rule.
I'm with you on that.
But it is the rule, so abide by it. And if you don't abide by it, then go. Do I think there should be, and I don't care if they kept the rule. It's not, do I agree with it? Yes, no, I disagree with a lot of things, but that doesn't mean they should be changed. It just means even if they kept that rule, that's fine. But maybe just let them get out there. You got a kid that's in college, and say he's so good he's able to run on the track team in the Olympics, but then this dude can't be in a commercial. I mean, that's ridiculous. If you have a track star and he's on the Olympic team and he breaks some world record in the Olympics, this kid can't make money for another 2 years because he's a sophomore in college. That's
Bogus.
bogus. We're gonna act like that was cropped out. That's bogus.
Let's turn our attention to what's going on the court.
All right, we can do that. All right. So how about this? So Villanova, number 3 in the country, takes another
One in your
L.
heart.
Not number 1 in my heart.
Oh.
They take another L on Saturday night. Yesterday.
Last night?
Yeah, it was last night. Yesterday.
Yesterday during the day?
Yeah.
Like during daytime hours, was it still light out?
Yeah, it was still light up. So we'll call it day.
Okay. What time though?
I want to say I was at the hospital around 3:30, so I'd say the game probably started around 2.
Okay.
2:30 start
so
time.
they lost before 6 o'clock.
Yes.
Okay.
Game was over
Daytime.
before 6.
Daytime.
So it was daytime. Yeah.
It's a daytime
Yesterday.
loss. Okay.
Is that how you determine
your
it?
classic
Daytime
daytime.
losses.
I think 6. I think 6 o'clock is the official.
So does that mean
evening.
summertime? The daytime, like you could lose in the summertime, and it could be a loss in the nighttime.
It's
in the
a
winter.
loss at night at 8 o'clock when it's still bright outside.
But it's at night, even if it's bright out. You
It's
just said at night.
It's bright, right? 6 o'clock is the cutoff. 6 o'clock is evening.
I hate cutoffs. I think people make
I
cutoffs
love-
up. I think
yeah.
pardon the interruption, not pardon the interruption, but Curb Your Enthusiasm talks about this all the time. And there's cutoffs. Who makes these cutoffs up?
I don't know, but my favorite cutoff is jean shorts.
I got a pair of jean shorts that'll blow your mind. Then I'm
I've
telling
seen
you,
them, and I don't ever want to see them again.
yeah, pockets hanging out the bottom.
Yeah,
Legit.
and that's
frail.
not the only
Oh,
thing hanging out the bottom.
Miss Daisy Duke
All right.
ain't got nothing on me.
So anyway,
Hold on, I do want to say, because Joe Schmidt is here, and all he's in charge of is hitting start and stop on the clock. I want to know what he thinks about about what these kids should be paid or not paid for.
Oh,
You know, I haven't really thought much about it, but I kind of agree with both of what you guys said.
Yeah, way to take the easy way out.
So thanks a lot.
Yeah, typical producer doesn't
thought
want to
that
have
might happen.
doesn't want to have anything to do with the microphone at all. That's okay. You did really good at starting it, so we'll go
How
from
deep
there.
are we in? We're 29 minutes in?
Yeah, but you got to
Yeah, that's
remember
not
that. Yeah. All right. So back to the court. So number 3 loses. That's going to push everybody up a spot. We didn't have this week has not been the upset week like we've seen in the past. I mean, the past month and a half, 2 months, there has been a top 5 team go down every single week.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And well, it was from Villanova, right? Still was.
Yeah, well,
By
technically
numbers,
it was. I guess technically you're right. So we are still having a top 5.
But
yeah,
but
good call.
it's been multiple teams though.
It has. You're right.
lately, and-
You're right.
and
You're right.
This was the only one. So yeah. Okay, so okay, Villanova lost. They'll drop a couple spots, whatever. They're still, according to Jerry Palm, still a number 1 seed as of this morning.
Even
So,
after the loss.
Even after the loss, still a number 1 seed. I don't know what region he had him in, but that doesn't matter anyway. So
He had him in the East
Okay.
before, and I'm looking at Lenardi right now, and Lenardi currently has Villanova still number 1 in the East as well.
Okay. So Jerry Palm had number 1 seeds Virginia, Kansas, Villanova, and Xavier. Kansas surprises me because they've struggled.
How
quite a
is
bit,
how in God's name is a Kansas team allowed to still be the number 1 team in the country when you've lost 3 games on your home court?
Yeah, that's yeah.
I don't understand that. I understand you got a name thing, and Kentucky, Kansas, whoever you are, you're going to be allowed to be in the tournament or whatever because they sell seats, and the NCAA is a business and they're making money. I got no problem with that. You let Kentucky stay in the tournament. I got no problem. Kentucky's had an off year, and they're still going to be in the tournament because people are going to come to their games. And Kansas should be in the tournament. They're a good team. But a number 1 seed still? I mean,
Yeah.
this is a little ridiculous.
And speaking of that, so you mentioned by their name, they might get some help. Number 2 seeds: Michigan State, North Carolina, Duke, Auburn. So Michigan State, North Carolina, Duke. Duke struggled a bit. North Carolina struggled a bit.
But Duke has shown that they can play. They're coming on at the right time. Duke's coming on at the right time. They're showing it. I got no problem with Duke. And Michigan State has won the games they needed to win here lately. They lost a couple, but they're winning games that they need to win.
That's the thing. So I think even more than their names, and their names certainly do help, but the strength of schedule, which playing in the Big Ten, in the ACC, in the Big 12, you're going to play tough schedules, and most years, and I think it's more that helping these teams than just their name.
Kansas has 6 losses.
Yeah. Right, and they're
You have Virginia with 2, Michigan State with 3, Villanova with 3, Xavier with 4, Duke 5, Gonzaga 4, Texas Tech 5, but Kansas, and of those they're at home. I'm sorry to interrupt you, but it just kills me.
Gonzaga is actually the one that I was surprised, because a few weeks ago I heard that they were potentially a number 1 seed, and they, if they win the rest of their games and go through their conference tournament, the West Coast Conference tournament, and win all their games, I believe they were like a 6 seed in Jerry Palm's thing. So
Not still right now they're a 6 seed.
I'm pretty sure it was 5 or 6, I believe. But if they win the rest of their games, and it depends on what all the other teams ahead of them do too. But in the conference tournaments are going to, I still think, play a pretty decent part for some of these teams. But some people don't feel that way. But
Some people think the conference tournament does nothing for this, but I agree. I think if you are a 5 through 10, 11, 12 seed, then yeah, I think this conference tournament could make or break you.
And I love the conference tournaments, but I'd be fine if they didn't play any conference tournaments, because really it should be. Yeah, it should. They're always really exciting, and it always gets a few teams in that weren't going to make it because they had a great run in their conference tournament. But it really should be about your body of work throughout the year. So if you play 10 or 15 conference games, and you don't do well in your conference throughout the year, but then you win 3 games in a row because you just have that unbelievable stretch of 3 days or 4 days or whatever. I don't know. I have a hard time with that,
dude. But here's the deal.
And then that's when the teams like Tennessee State or somebody like that who
you
go
take St. John's. Take a St. John's team who is terrible, who was terrible, and then they come out and beat Nova, Duke. They won the other night. Those are the kind of teams that they sneak their way in and they kick somebody out. Sure. You know what? If you're playing good at the end of the year, get your ass in the tournament, because that's the guys I want to see. I want to see the best basketball at the time.
Sure, but it should be.
It's a body of work.
It's your body of work, and if you win your last 5 games and 3 of them are against top 25 teams or something, and you were awful before that, yeah, maybe you did enough. Maybe those big wins are enough to get you in. But if you're not, if your body of work says I lost to Tennessee Tech and Alabama A&M, and then I beat Duke, is that enough? I mean, is that enough to get you in? And then you win 3 games in 3 days in your conference tournament.
I think for some guys it is. I
think
shoot
the lights out for a couple of days or something like that, and then that's
look at UConn. We talked about this last time we were on. That UConn team with Kemba Walker, they were not a good basketball team for that whole year. And then all of a sudden, they make a run, and they run through the Big East tournament, and what did they do? They kept that run going, and they won a national championship.
They were obviously good enough to beat a bunch of really good teams.
Would they have made it to the tournament before? I mean, the talk was they were on the bubble before the Big East tournament.
Yeah.
They were on the bubble, and to me, you're on the bubble, then it takes if somebody else makes a run like that, you're not in. So, hey, best team, best time, let's go.
I feel like the UConn thing was a one-off. I feel like that was, I mean, they were obviously didn't put like they played their best basketball at the end of the year. You're right, and it started probably. I don't know what they did in the last few games of the year, but they won games in the conference tournament, and then they won all of their games in the NCAA tournament. And you can't go through that whole thing without beating at least a few good teams. So, but I feel like way more often it happens that when a team just has an okay regular season, has a great stretch for 3 or 4 days in the conference tournament, and does just enough to get in, maybe they win a first round game, but usually they're out by the second round. I mean, UConn is
All right, so maybe that's the exception to the rule.
and maybe that's all it takes, though. Maybe it takes that one example.
But
to
that's
say
the guys you see when you get that week beforehand. And I'm going to tell you, that week beforehand is just as much fun as the week after. But you got that week beforehand, and you got these. It's a storyline thing. And be honest, we're talking about money. We're talking about the NCAA. They're looking at money. They're looking at viewers. They're looking at sponsorships, at advertising. You get a team that's on a roll, and you're putting them on CBS. They're not getting True TV.
Right.
They're
But
getting CBS.
Yeah, but that's going to be true for a Big East team, for a Big 12 team. It's going to be true for those kinds of teams. For the lower level conferences.
Don't be careful now.
A team like, you don't have to worry about it. Xavier's not considered that anymore.
You talking about lower level conferences, Big 12, and I mean.
No, I'm saying for the teams in the Big 12 and the Big East, those conferences, something like that happens, then it makes sense. Yeah, you want
them in. I got you. Okay.
So the lower level, if UAB, if SMU gets in or something like that, they're not going to draw a ton of attention. They're not going to bring a ton of money in. But
right, like a Rhode Island making a run all of a sudden at the end of the A10 tournament, that nobody cares. Although here next year at this time, we might be talking about a potential Rhode Island UMass national championship, because 25 of the top 30 teams can't even play in it.
If that happens, if Rhode Island and UMass play for a national championship next year, I give you $1,000.
$1,000 right now?
No, not right now. If they play next year.
No. I'm saying that bet's going on right now.
Yeah.
All right. So what am I putting up?
You don't have to put up anything.
Nothing.
You just put up.
Joe, write it down right now.
just
Can
put
you
up-
put that note?
Yeah,
Put that.
that's
Okay,
true.
but
It's being
I need you to
recorded.
put a note on the board so I can read it. All right. You're just sitting back there doing absolutely nothing except hitting stop and play. So I need you to put a note on the board. Here we go. Yes, money, $1K. That's $1,000 for you listening. If UMass versus Rhode Island ends up as the national championship game in 2019.
Yeah.
So there you go. All right. So I am so excited that I'm going to take $1,000 of your money next year because
I'm happy
Duke,
to give it
North
to you
Carolina,
if that prediction is correct.
Michigan State, Kansas, Wichita State, NC State, South Carolina, Xavier, you name it. They're all done. They're all out.
Are they all okay? So you think that's going to be one of the consequences of using an ineligible player? They're going to be.
They're going to have to suspend. I mean, no, I don't think that. There's no way the NCAA is going to actually, with this many teams, that they're going to disqualify them for a year, 2 years, whatever. Now, there might be a few teams that get it worse than others, such as Arizona.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Louisville ran a brothel
Mm-hmm.
for a while.
Okay, so let me ask you this. I hate to get back on this after we were done with it.
I don't
but-
care. I like going back to it.
Okay, but so that happened, right? Everybody involved, Patino, the assistant coaches, everybody that was involved at that time with that going on, gone.
Yes.
Should the kids now on the team be reprimanded for something that happened?
They shouldn't, and that's why they are not being reprimanded for it. They were given the 1-year suspension. They took the banners down, but there is nothing going on with that team now because of the hookers and the brothel and whatever.
I guess I'm asking for the rest of these teams that have been mentioned now. If that happens, and it has happened in the past, where teams, programs get suspended for a year, 2 years, 3 years, or whatever from the NCAA tournament, where for things that happened years past. So something that didn't
Sure.
happen with the players on the team currently, they may get suspended from the NCAA tournament. because
last
of
year's
something
Louisville
happened.
team, that's what happened, but it wasn't from the NCAA. That was a Louisville sanction,
Self-imposed. Yeah.
self-imposed. But that happened because of teams in the past. Although there were probably some kids on there that probably got the rocks off that brothel thing too. And by the way, real quick, how great would it be to be Rick Pitino right now? To be the guy, the vampire-looking man who looks like he's half dead all the time.
Leave his widow's peak alone.
No, it's not the widow's peak. It's the white skin. I've only seen him at night. Have you ever seen him? Oh, white skin. Here we go again. No, white, not peach. My man is white skin, dark, dead as a vampire. Anyway, racism. No, take that off the screen. I told you, whatever you put up there, I'm gonna read. So anyway, but seriously, how great would it be to be Rick Pitino right now? Your school that you not forget your school. You are the reason that all of this FBI stuff, not the FBI stuff. You are the reason that this talk started at the beginning of the week. I mean, it all came down with Louisville loses national championships, loses a Final Four banner, vacates all these wins because of the prostitution and the brothel. I'm just going to call it a brothel. And then all of a sudden the FBI comes out with this 2 days later, and this gets leaked or let out or whatever you want to call it. And all of a sudden old Rick Pitino's like, well, we might be in on that, but at least people aren't talking about what we did before as much.
Yeah.
I mean, that would be the topic of conversation right now.
They're involved in this investigation as well.
Oh, they are. They got a
for other
player
things.
on the court right now that's involved in it.
Right. Yeah. But yeah, I guess it does take away from the or turn people's attention away from the problem from a year or 2 years ago or whatever it was. Anyway,
It might have been a problem from 2 years, but that thing was going on for. And by the way, if you're a recruit, right? If you're a recruit, let's say I'm Adam Schmidt. Okay, I'm Chris, but let's say I'm you. I'm Adam Schmidt,
I'm sorry.
and I'm one of the sharpest shooters I've ever seen in my life inside the 3-point line. and I am asked to come to a Louisville Cardinals basketball game at the Yum Center, and it's a let's say it's Louisville. Who are they playing? Okay, so ACC, Louisville Duke at Louisville. And they're like, we want you at this game. I want to show you what the Yum Center can do and what this university is like. And I get there, and it's like, cool, here. And then after the game, I go to the locker room. We just lost to Duke by 1. No big deal. The place was hopping. And then the guys are like, hey, Adam, come out with us tonight. We're going to show you a good time. And it's like, all right, cool. And you go to whatever, Father Vincent Hall, whatever you want to call the dorm room that they're in. I can't remember what it's called. But
It's
you
called
go
Father
to,
Vincent Hall. You're right.
you go to the dorm room, and all of a sudden there's 3 naked ladies like, hey, drop your pants, man. Let's go. And you're like, huh, okay. I mean, what are you going to say, no?
Well, here's the thing: if you're Adam Schmidt, yes, because you're a bigger Duke fan, so you're trying to find Coach K after the game to see if he'll recruit you. Because
Okay.
if you're getting recruited by Louisville, you may be good enough to get recruited by Duke. So
I got you. Okay.
if you're Adam Schmidt, that's your answer. If you're
All right. Well,
Use
I'm
somebody
going
else's
to tell you
name.
what. Most people will be like, maybe for a second. And then it's like, all right, I'm 17 years old. It's time to get your rocks off. Let's go. Get your rocks off. Is that like a 1990s term, or is that an 80-year-old person term? What is that? I feel like get your rocks off is
how old are you? Let's see, how old you are.
I'm 34, but I've been told that I'm an old man.
Well, yeah, I mean, well,
When was the last time you got your rocks off? Just kidding. Don't answer that question. Just kidding. Anyway,
sorry, Chris's
So-
mom again.
so anyway, yeah, I'm just telling you that I think I feel so bad for these kids that get in trouble. Although you heard the guy, and once again I can't remember his name. For one of the guys who played for that Louisville team, he said they're going to take the wins away from me and they're going to take the banner out off the wall, but I still got this fat ass ring.
Yeah, and that's what I mean.
Well, you
before.
ain't taking that from everybody.
Right. You're not really taking the wins away from anybody. It's
No.
you played the games, you won the games. They're not, especially something like that. Whatever happened on your recruiting trip, yeah, it got you there or whatever if it did.
It worked.
And if it worked, it worked, and it got you a better team or whatever, okay, then yeah, the school should maybe suffer. But that team you had on the court and the opponent, all the opponents that you beat,
They won those
they were
damn
still-
games.
Yeah, that you still had to win those games. It was,
Yeah.
whatever
Well,
happened, if
Bay-
you took money or took any kind of favors or
Not
whatever,
What's his name from Michigan? Not Boeheim, but
from Michigan.
yeah, Michigan's coach.
Oh,
It sounds like Boeheim.
it's a Beeline, John
Beeline.
Yeah.
Beeline said, they said, what if they give you a national champion? He said, listen, we got beat.
Mm-hmm.
And you can say nobody won it, but I'm going to tell you right now, I was there.
Mhm.
We did not win that game.
Yeah, that's exactly what
Poor
I mean.
Spike Albright. That dude deserves a ring just for being a little spunky white guy.
He, yeah, that's most of the players and the coaches, especially the coaches, are going to tell you that even the ones that lost, they don't want it. If they lost that game, no matter how the other team put their team together or whoever was on that team, they don't want that win. Nobody's going to want a win that they didn't actually win. They're guys at that level are too competitive. They're not just going to take a free win because somebody else used a player that took some sort of benefit that
Right.
they weren't supposed to.
Right.
Well, is this going to be an all NCAA basketball? Should we?
No, I'm good with that.
Okay.
I was
I think
just
we can.
actually as we're going, I'm good with all NCAA because I'm gonna tell you what, there's so much going on right now. It's not even funny. However, I was just looking up this seventh. What happens if you make a seventh visit to the mound in Major League Baseball?
What does happen?
Absolutely nothing.
Yeah, exactly.
So that makes that easy. Forget pace of game. So we'll go back to NCAA. So let's just go back to where we were. We'll go back to what's going on the court right now. What do you think? So you got your four number ones, and
Well,
we only have
I
one
Jared
week.
Palm's 4 number ones,
Okay,
but yeah.
okay. So then we only have 1 week
Mhm.
of regular season NCAA basketball left.
So there are a lot of very intriguing things that could happen over the last week, and then of course, like we talked about in the conference tournaments. But I was looking more specifically at Xavier and UC because that's where we are. They both have games that aren't just opponents that they're going to walk over.
If you're a
Xavier-
number one seed, I feel like you should just walk over whoever you're playing.
But so Xavier has Providence and DePaul left.
Oh, you're talking
I'm
about
talking
regular
about
season.
what's left. I'm talking
Okay,
about what's left.
You're right. So Providence senior night, 100%. I completely agree. Providence has shown that they can play against anybody. And they beat Xavier already once this year.
Right.
However, you're talking
At
about
Providence.
senior night, man.
Right.
I mean, this is senior night. The emotions are high. Although Trayvon Blewett, my man, the best guy on our team, the 4th, 5th, 2,000 point scorer in Xavier history. When these kind of games pop up, he's not always there.
Yeah. I think for that reason, he kind of took himself out of contention for the Naismith and any of the.
He did.
best
The
player
Villanova
or
game.
whatever.
The Villanova game took him out of it.
Yeah.
Even though he had 26 or whatever, but whatever. Well, I mean, he didn't do anything special. He doesn't do things special in special games. Now, although at the same time, he is like a Kevin Durant, where you can watch an entire game and turn around to the guy sitting next to you and go, man, has Blewett scored today?
And he's got 25.
And the dude's got 25 points. It happens all the time. I feel like I went to an OKC game when Kevin Durant was there in Indianapolis with you, and I remember thinking, well, I bet Durant's got 10, and looking up, and he had 30, and looking at you and going, how did he get 30 points?
Yeah.
Where'd that come from? It's just consistency. It's good shots. The other day he had Blewett had 30 something on 12 shots. I mean, it's ridiculous.
Yeah. I was at that game. Was it Seton Hall?
Seton Hall.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. He had, was it 36 or 37, something like that?
On 12 shots.
Yeah. He was making shots with guys flying out at him from 30 feet, and he just had one of those games.
It was one of those games.
Yeah. But I late in the game I thought I bet he's got 20 or so, and he had 30 or 31 or something, and it's exactly the same. Like quiet. He's speaking of quiet. He he gets quiet, and he sometimes he gets quiet, and he's really not scoring much or But you're right though. He quietly gets 20, 30 sometimes, and
That's how you get. That's how you end up a 2,000 point scorer. There's not a ton of 2,000 point scorers
sure.
that come through college basketball. One, you have to play for 4 years pretty much to do it.
Oh yeah. Which that's rare.
Unless you're Byron Larkin. I think he had 2,000 his very last game as a junior. He ended up with 2,600
He had 2,000
points.
points just in that game.
Yeah, 2,000 points his last game as a junior.
That's incredible. That's
The
best
score
game
was
I've ever heard of.
2,000 to 10.
So nobody else scored? Wow, that team was terrible. That's a bad Xavier team if nobody else scored.
Yeah, it was. Well, I mean, that was the
Um,
year before they made their first Sweet 16
Although a
run.
really good defensive team if the other team scored 10 points.
Super defensive team.
Okay, so they're a good team. Never mind. I take that back. 1977.
No,
Xavier. I'm just
no,
kidding.
No,
I'm just kidding. I
no.
know he's not that
Byron
old.
ain't that old.
I
God,
know.
God love you, Byron. Speaking of, they just had the Byron Larkin, Joe Sunderman bobblehead the other night. It
Was that
was
the
the
Seton
Seton
Hall
Hall
game?
game. You
Yeah.
missed it, didn't you?
I
You didn't
know-
get it.
I went in and I saw other people with them. I didn't get one. I don't know
It
if
was,
I went to the
I
wrong
think it was
door.
first 2,000 fans. So
Oh, okay. I
they
wasn't
only
one of the
hold
first
10.
2,000.
So
Yeah, I wasn't there.
If you weren't there an hour and a half early, which is when they open up, brother, those things are gone at
No,
X.
I was not. Okay, so just really quickly. So Xavier has Providence at home, like you talked about. It's senior night. And then they have DePaul at DePaul, and they only beat DePaul by 5 points at home earlier in the year. So it's
Yeah,
not.
they went to overtime with Georgetown too at
Yeah.
home.
Yeah. Well, right.
All I'm saying is sometimes they play to their competition.
Sure. And that's if that happens here, then they've got a chance to lose another game against Providence or DePaul before the end of the season, which would, I think, certainly knock them out of the number 1 seed.
Every game Xavier plays, they're not a defensive team. They're not going to hold you to a low score.
Yeah,
They're out there
you.
to score points.
Mhm.
They're out there to score.
Mhm.
And if you're not a team that can score points, you're not going to beat Xavier because Xavier's going to come out there and they're going to let you get 70, 75.
Mhm.
But unless you're going to score 85, 90, then you're not going to win the game.
Mhm.
So it might be a game. I mean, a lot of times games are close, but Xavier makes free throws.
Mhm.
And especially in the clutch, they are. I don't have the numbers in front of me, but I want to say there's something like 75% for the game, and when it gets to the last 2 minutes, they jump up to like 84% for the game. So they're not just it's free throws, it's clutch free throws. That's the team they are. They're a senior-driven team,
Mhm.
a clutch team, and so we're in some close games against teams we shouldn't be close to. But we are the more experienced team most of the time, and we are very good at we. I didn't play at Xavier, but
Xavier. Right. You were very
Xavier is-
close to playing at Xavier, though.
Man, I'm gonna tell you what.
You
know,
made it to the second
if
last
they let
cut. I
if they
remember.
let 5'9" power forwards play, I would have been. I'm gonna tell you, I'm one of the best 5'9" power forwards you've ever played against. I back 7-footers down like it's nobody's business.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Right.
My little double pump. I take the one pivot back. Little shot fake on the hook. Get a big man up in the air, come up underneath
Mhm.
with the underhand, as my nephew calls it, the granny shot, even though it's a layup. the finger roll underneath, getting hacked. Yeah, that's all day for me. All day.
Nice. You got to teach me that move. Although I don't go near the basket anymore, so
No. You're 1 foot inside the 3-point line to 3 foot inside the 3-point line.
that's a bad shot. 1 foot inside the 3-point line. That's a terrible
Oh my
shot.
gosh! If you were in college basketball or the NBA, they would hate your guts. But the
Oh,
problem is
I
you would
hate
just
my
have to
guts
say,
already.
look, if I stepped one step back, I'm like a 30-35% shooter.
Exactly.
Right here, I'm like 85 to 90%.
I'm definitely a 90% jump shooter. Yeah, exactly what you just said. I'm definitely a 90%.
I mean, you're not Joe Schmidt sitting next to you, but you are Adam Schmidt. So
Okay, so we kind of touched on Xavier. You think they'll take care of those last 2 games, correct?
yes,
How far do you think they'll go in the conference tournament?
To be honest with you, I don't really.
You don't
Once
think that
again, we
matters?
come back. I don't care what they do in the conference tournament. If they win those last 2 games, they'll be a number 1 seed, even if they lose their first game, which is the second round of the Big East. So it really, to be honest, it doesn't matter those conference tournaments. If you're in the top 10 in the country, that conference tournament means nothing. You can lose that first game, and it's 1 loss on your record. Other teams are getting multiple wins, but it's only 1 loss on your record. So it's not going to hurt you nearly as bad.
But they've changed the way they've structured how they put teams in, and they look at they're calling it quadrants, right? So if you get a quadrant 1 win, there are certain criteria that make it that. So it's like a top 100 RPI win or something like that.
It's
whatever.
That's not it,
don't-
but
right,
yes,
yeah,
I agree
that's
with
what
you.
I mean.
Yeah, I hear you.
So but say you
They're 7-2 with in quadrant 1 wins.
Okay, so say you have a say you beat Providence and DePaul. That messed me up, whatever that was. Say you play Providence and DePaul, and your first game in the conference tournament is against DePaul again, and you lose that one.
Mm-hmm.
That is not a bad enough loss to
We have not lost.
to knock you out of a.
We have 0 losses out of quadrant 1. If you lose 1, that's a quadrant 2. Does that kill you? I don't think that knocks you out.
You don't think it knocks you out of the number 1 seed?
It depends on who wins and loses in their conference tournament. I mean, if Michigan State runs through it, wins the Big Ten,
Then they'll jump up.
and if a Virginia runs through the ACC, then I don't think that hurts Xavier. Now, if somebody knocks off a Michigan State, say a Duke, and they allow themselves to jump up into that possible 1 seed spot and knocks me or us, Xavier, or a Michigan State down, then it's going to hurt us. But if the big dogs win and 1 big dog loses, it's not going to hurt that 1 big dog.
Okay.
What do you think?
I feel like bad losses and good wins in the conference tournament should mean just as much as they do in the regular season, because it's a game. It's a game that you have to play. They should mean the exact same thing.
It is neutral court though, so you're not talking home or
well,
away.
sure, and you weigh it. It carries a different weight because of that too.
So you're big on this home away law. The what do you call that? Your quadrant. You're big on the quadrant 1, 2, 3s.
No, because I can't remember exactly what they are, but the criteria for what makes it a quadrant 1 and quadrant 2, I think, are not good. Like a quadrant 1 is isn't it like a top 75 RPI or something like that win? I mean, I think it's something like if you beat Duke at Duke, and then you beat you beat like Wichita State at Wichita State, that's going to count for the same. That's going to count for the same thing, and that doesn't make sense to me. So I don't think the quadrants are set up correctly. So I don't think they should be using them until they actually. I don't think the idea is bad, but I think the way they're set up right now is bad. So until they get that figured out, I think they should just go back to, as much as everybody has a problem with several decisions they make every year, and it's always going to be that way.
There's always going to be a problem. Mick Cronin's always going to complain. There's always going to be a problem.
Xavier fan talk. No, I'm just kidding.
It's the truth. He's always going to complain.
Well, yeah.
All right. So quadrant 1 is 1 through top 1 through 50.
Okay.
Win at home, and then 25. Hold on a second. This isn't right. Anyway, go ahead.
So, okay.
Bad radio.
So
podcast? Is this radio? This isn't radio.
No,
is this podcast?
No, this is podcast. Yeah.
Okay.
This is podcast.
Here we go. Right back on the hour mark. Jeez, oh Pete, we take too long on these.
I know. We can put this on the radio, but it's not going to be on AM or FM. We're going to have to make up a new frequency. We'll make
CM.
CM, sure. Christopher modulation. Um,
What does AM stand for?
hold on. Do you remember? Yeah, I forget too.
Is it definitely a modulation though?
I that feels right, but I really don't know. I just said that
I
word.
feel like
I didn't-
modulation is just one of those $475 words that you just threw out of your back pocket.
Yeah. I always carry $475 in my back pocket, which is why I threw that word out. But you mentioned Mick Cronin. So we talked about Xavier. Let's transition to UC. So their last two games are at Tulane on Thursday, which shouldn't be a problem. Tulane's a 500 team, and at Wichita State. Wichita State just beat UC at UC last week. So they got to play. They have to play Wichita State, who only has I think 4 or 5 losses at their place in their last game of the season. And then UC is good enough to beat Wichita State, certainly I think. If they beat, they should have no problem with Tulane. If they beat Wichita State at Wichita State, that's a good win for them. And then they'll have to. So right now, like Jerry Palm, for instance, has UC as a number 3 seed. If they win these last 2 games and then win their conference tournament, and I know it depends on what right now Michigan State, Carolina, Duke, and Auburn are the 2 seeds according to him. So. But if one of those teams loses to, and that's what I mean, if UC wins their last 2 games and then runs through their conference tournament, and then Carolina and Duke, or say Carolina loses to Northwestern or something in in the second or third round of the what am I talking about? Northwestern's a
Big Ten.
Big Ten school. If North Carolina loses to whatever, a middle of the pack or bottom level ACC school in the second or third round or whatever, in their conference tournament, is that enough to drop them? Because then that's what, eight losses or something for them.
Yeah.
UC will have 3 or something like that. So, is that enough to? But that's where strength of schedule comes in, obviously, because Carolina plays a tougher.
That's where you look at RPI, strength of schedule.
Sure.
I mean, those things are so big. That's right back to the quadrant wins. I mean, it brings you right back to those quadrant wins.
Right. But if UC is getting some from Wichita State, they did lose to Houston.
That's it.
Yeah,
Wichita State is the only quadrant 1 team in that league.
So maybe that was a bad example, but
It's all right. It's a Cincinnati thing. That's what we're trying
Michigan
to do.
State, North Carolina, Duke, Auburn. If one of those teams loses, so say Auburn loses early in their conference tournament, is that going to be enough to jump UC over them? In that case, probably. Okay. So all those teams, all those 2 seeds play in good conferences.
Exactly. That is my point. Of it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you lose in that.
But it's who you lose to, though, I think.
Okay, so but here's the deal. Most of these conferences, the first round is played separately from the top teams. The first round, it gets rid of your bottom of the barrel garbage, and then the teams that are in front,
But sometimes it's middle of the pack, and sometimes they're upsets.
But a middle of the pack loss is not nearly as bad as a Xavier loss to a middle of the pack Georgetown team is not nearly as bad as a DePaul loss. Nowhere even close to as bad. So yeah, I'm saying if Xavier loses to Georgetown in the first round of the Big East, that is nowhere near as bad as if they lose to DePaul tomorrow.
Do you think there's a big margin between?
I do
how
think
much
there
that
is.
means?
I do.
Okay. Okay. Well, so
And that goes for every conference. We just talk about Cincinnati teams because we're in Cincinnati.
Sure. Yeah. So okay, really, I think at worst UC stays a number 3 seed. If that's where they're at right now, I think at worst they stay a 3 seed. Xavier potentially stays a number 1. They have a chance where I think if they suffer another loss because of
if they get a loss between Providence and DePaul, I'm still saying they're not going anywhere deeper than a 2. I can't see that.
Sure, right, yeah.
Okay.
No, I don't think any lower than a 2, unless they lose the Providence and DePaul and somebody in the that's the only way I think they fall to like a 3 or something like that.
Mhm.
But nobody expects them to do that. So if Xavier, if they're a number 1 now, obviously they win their last 2 games.
If they win out, they're number 3. First off, they're going to be number 3 in the country. Hey,
Mhm.
first time ever in the school history that Xavier will be number 3 in the country,
Very
which
nice.
is going to happen on Monday, tomorrow morning, because after Villanova's loss, we're 3-4. Villanova lost to Providence. Even though we've lost to Villanova twice, I hate to say it, we are going to jump them.
That's weird.
But it's going to happen, right? I mean, does anybody do you disagree with that?
No.
It's going to happen.
Yeah. No. Yeah.
They can't keep Villanova there with that
Right.
loss.
Right.
But I mean, I don't see Villanova getting out of the top 6, but still.
I don't know who Villanova has their last 2 games, but I expect them to win, and probably win the conference tournament. Hopefully, it's Xavier and Villanova in the conference tournament championship, and it's a 6 overtime game, and Xavier wins 174 to 173.
6 overtime game would be one of the greatest days. Also, might give me a heart attack.
Well, I hope it doesn't give you a heart attack.
It would. There's no way I'd survive a 6
Okay.
overtime game.
Okay,
Anyway,
then
we got to
5
get this thing
overtimes.
moving.
Yeah. Okay. Then I hope it's 5 overtimes, and it's 164 to 163.
Yes.
Because you have no problem with that.
All right. I agree. Yeah, as long as Xavier wins, I have no problem with anything.
All right. I'm good.
You're good? All right, well,
I'm
here's the
good.
deal. So this is what I want to do. So we are 5 minutes over schedule, but what I'd like to do is get your picks for next week. There's some really good games coming up next week.
Okay. Sure.
And I just want to know.
I think the Reds are going to beat the Phillies in Arizona.
Spring training baseball is definitely
think-
coming up soon. However, as much as I'd love to talk Reds baseball right now, or baseball in general,
It's not time yet.
it's not. It's definitely not time yet. So
Although
Next-
the Reds are 1-1-1 now, so if that's an indication of this
it's
season,
a tie. I hate
if they
ties.
win-
Baseball shouldn't have a tie.
Yeah.
Don't give me a tie.
speaking
I hate
of
ties.
speaking of new rules. No, we're not going to get into that. Right now.
Yeah,
Not gonna do that right
we'll
now.
get to that
So-
next. Yeah, we got plenty of time for that. All right, so here we go. So I'm just looking at next week's schedule, top 25 teams. Monday, first one comes up, and I'm looking at our boys in Duke at Virginia Tech. What do you think?
Duke.
Duke?
That's easy.
Okay, that's easy. At Virginia Tech, and the spread will be pretty good, so I'm not going to get into that. Okay, Xavier, Providence. Here we go. I'm just looking for a good game that we can put a little input in on. Have you looked at any games coming up? Okay, here we go. Perfect example. March 4th, the last game of the year in the AAC. Cincinnati at Wichita State.
Mhm.
Number 11, Cincinnati at 13, Wichita State. I imagine Wichita State is probably going to be favored 1, maybe 2 points, being an at-home game, and they just beat UC.
That should
What do you
be.
think?
Yeah. I think UC is going to make the necessary adjustments to beat Wichita State. What those adjustments are going to be, I have no idea. But
No, that's fine.
but
No,
I
I agree with you, but I'm going to go. No, just put it up there. I just want to put it out there. Just put it out there. Wichita State. You're
UC.
taking
I
UC
think
straight
UC,
up
straight up.
at Wichita State.
Mhm.
I'm taking Wichita State because that's going to be close to a pick'em game, and as much as I love UC, this Wichita State team's not as bad as we look and as they look, and I hate to say it, but I really do think at home this Wichita State team, it's going to be senior night. It's one of those games. I'm going Wichita State, so
You said as much as I love UC.
I like UC because we beat them. So every win they get
So if
is
they won
good for us.
if UC won the crosstown shootout this year, you would hate UC.
Yes.
Okay.
But every
fair.
time, but when we beat UC, every win they have
Then
is
you're-
good for
yeah,
us.
Obviously, yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
yeah, exactly. So, from there, how about okay, let's keep it in the city of Cincinnati. Wednesday, Providence at Xavier. I'm guessing this is probably going to be a 6 or 7 point game in favor of Xavier.
I'd take Xavier too.
There's no spreads out yet, but I'm guessing 6 or 7 points in favor of Xavier.
And
Already lost to Providence once at Providence.
at Providence, like you mentioned before, it'll be senior night. Those guys are going to be even more motivated, I think, than normal. Although I think they would tell you that they're not going to, they go into every game as motivated as you can be or whatever. But yeah, I certainly take Xavier there too.
I agree. I got to take Xavier. I think this is going to be one of those games where, because it's senior night, it doesn't have to be Blewett. JP McCure will probably come out and have one of the games that he has where he's all over the court all day long, and it's going to be a 12-point, 13-point victory for Xavier.
They need to start tracking, like instead of forced turnovers, forced technicals, because JP McCura has
Number
to
one
lead
in
the country in forced technicals, like
Number one in the
getting
country.
other guys to get technical fouls.
I agree. All right, so let's stick with JP McCura. God love him. He is the Grayson Allen that nobody knows.
Yeah,
100%.
I mean,
he's worse than Grayson Allen.
yeah.
If I wasn't
I
a
would say
Xavier
that's true.
fan, I'd hate him with every ounce of my body. But because I am a Xavier fan,
Yeah.
I absolutely love him. There are times that he gets on my nerves.
Mhm.
There are times where I'm like, come on, Jay.
Mhm.
He yells at his teammates sometimes a little too much, but besides the point.
And Grayson Allen gets more hate because he plays for Duke.
It's because he's
Everybody.
a Duke. Exactly.
Anyway.
But he's worse. JP's worse than Duke.
I-
Worse than Grayson Allen.
I agree.
All right. So anyway, sticking with Wednesday, last game I want to ask you about: Florida State at Clemson, 25-15 matchup. This is one of the bigger top 25 matchups coming up next week.
Clemson.
Just because they're at home, or
Just because they're at home and yeah, I think they're just a better team.
they are a better team. So I agree with you, and that's probably only. Once again, that's probably gonna be a 3 to 5 point game, and which is tough for me. In which case, if it's 3 to 5 points, and that's a big difference. 2 points is a huge difference. So, but I'm gonna go with Florida State.
Oh,
Florida State's got the length
always
to
do.
defend. They do. They're just so long, and whether it's senior night or not, I'm not sure. I'm pretty sure that'll be senior night at Clemson, but still. You're talking about a long Florida State team, and I think if you're getting 3 or 4 points and you're Florida State, I'd take them all day long. And I know you're not big on the gambling side of things.
no,
The juice, the heavy, drop a nickel on the puppy
Oh, yeah.
at Nova.
I drop nickels on puppies a lot, all the time, actually.
Yeah. So anyway.
Sometimes they don't
I,
like
I
it.
would like to get into this because I think this is a big thing. I love gambling on games. I think betting on games is a fun thing to do, and if we can get hot on something, why not give it a go? You have no idea what you're doing, which means you'll probably be great at it.
Sure.
So we get into the tournament. We'll really get into it because we get a little more future spreads, but there's no future spreads on college basketball except for the day's game. But
Oh,
we're gonna get into
see,
it.
I didn't even know that.
There you go.
So there you go. All right,
It makes
I'm
me
gonna
laugh.
I'm gonna invest all of my money into gambling on college basketball in the next couple of weeks. I think.
It's not gonna happen.
Is
by
that a good
you.
investment?
Yes, that's not a good investment for you. You will take the favorite every single time,
Well, yeah, they're supposed to win, right?
which is why you would never win any money gambling on games.
Hey, if I got to put up $1 to win $1.05, that's fine. I'll just take that
Well,
nickel and drop it on a puppy.
Now we're getting now we're getting into money lines. It's a whole different thing.
Well,
We don't want to get into it. We'll get into that next week. We'll explain to Adam and Joey what gambling's all about.
hey, sometimes
Because I truly believe that you guys would be really good at it if you just paid attention.
sometimes I listen to that show on Saturday mornings. The I forget what it's called, but there's a show about
15:30?
Yeah. a show about sports gambling.
Don't ever
Sometimes-
pay them. Don't give them the money.
No,
Don't give them.
I just listen to it because I don't know.
Hey,
I don't
they
know why I
say
listen to it.
if you're gonna put a G down
Mhm.
or a dime,
If you're gonna
there you
put
go.
a- if
Here
you're
you
gonna
go.
put
A
a G
dime,
down,
a dime, a dime,
his game is gonna
$1,000.
come
You'll put a
through.
dime down. They say if you put a dime down on the first game,
Mhm.
and they'll give you 3 games, they guarantee it. So you put a dime down, win 2. Now you got 2, you put 2 down to win 4. Put 4 down to win 8. They guarantee you by the end of the weekend that you'll have 8 grand, 8 to 10 grand.
Oh, well then why doesn't everybody do that?
It's not a guarantee. I say guarantee. It's not a guarantee. They're not giving you your money back if they're wrong. They're just telling you that's what they're going to do for you. Friday, Saturday, Sunday. You think would you be up for it?
How much do I have to put up?
Just $1,000.
I don't even know what that looks like.
All right. Hey, we appreciate it, Joe. Thanks for hitting start and stop on us
And making notes.
and making notes. Racism, $1,000. Alabama Duke over Virginia Tech. Oh, he's got our picks. Yes,
Yeah, it does have
exactly.
a picks.
Yes, nice. Good work. All right, so we'll see how we did next week. We'll go back over those, and we appreciate you guys listening. Please put something in a comment underneath. Subscribe to us.
Yeah, tell us how bad we are.
Yes. Before, I didn't want you to tell us how bad we are.
I want you to
To
tell
be honest,
me
I
how
want you.
incredibly awful I am.
I love hearing how bad we are. This is way over an hour, and just be good or be good at it.
Ooh.
Yeah, that's a Brian Horde. Never mind.